This time around, it was the second rotation. Has the nerfs been that impactful?
I mean, she is the lowest win rate ADC in the game.
Right, but she's always, yeah, okay.
But she's always been pretty low in solo queue,
yeah.
like pro jailed. But at the same time, they were pretty big, I'd say. I'd be surprised if she still ends up being like a you know, 1-2-3 pick, 1-2-3 ban. Maybe more of like a 4-5 that you go for in more situational drafts, especially when the Poppy's out, when the Talia's out.
Yeah, starting off again with the Jace ban, so to me that's telling me that I don't want to give BDS the opportunity to go for that poke comp either.
Yeah, but so beforehand they were banning Varus here, right? And out of nowhere, Maokai has come through. Another great setup champion, and that's honestly what BDS often needs for a guy like 113. But that means that there's a lot of options available. Either the Victor or Varus will get banned, or maybe none of them, and that's just a Poppy instead. So the first pick for Fnatic, there's loads to choose from.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe a Varus first pick here for upset. And it's also the Jhin is out, which is one of Ice's like favorites into the Varus. So then he maybe has to go for more of a scaling route, or the MF that we've also seen. Oh, it's actually going to be the
Wow.
Poppy ban setting that up. I mean, that's also Razork. One of his favorites for sure. Looked very good on it. But the Kalista is out to pair up with it, so you don't have this like easy to set up dive comp that a lot of teams have been pairing with it.
Even from mid laners, you got Talia out of the way. I mean, Ahri is still available as one of the options that we often see from that side, so there's still options, that's true.
Yeah. Rod of Ages Ahri did get nerfed, but still very impactful. And
I mean, I'll be honest, I liked it better when I didn't see the Rod of Ages anyways. Like, I'm getting flashback to Jojo, who actually did damage on the champion in the arena. Like, with a Vi, I kind of liked it better.
I mean, I don't know. I think Rod of Ages was pretty...
I mean, it was too strong. I'm not trying to defend that build.
Yeah.
BDS does get the Varus though, so it kind of gives them the opportunity to go for that poke if they want to. Yo, Aurelion Sol.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Okay.
The Aurelion Sol here. So the Aurelion Sol makes up for the late game factor that Kalista is missing. So now you have both a strong early game in the bot side and having a really good scaling option in mid. Ooh, and the Nocturne Orianna combo from BDS here. I'm liking a lot both drafts. I do wonder, like, as you get later on in the game though, Aurelion Sol gets really tanky. Kalista is one of the ADCs that can also go more of a tanky build, so it'll be hard to pull off that one-shot Orianna Nocturne combo and actually kill the squishy targets on the side of Fnatic.
Depends also on the range, whether or not Neeko is going to have an opportunity to get close enough to be able to give that engage to Nocturne.
Yeah. I mean, normally the Nocturne just like sits behind and then they like coordinate it and play it well together. And it's like, it's pretty easy, but at the same time, my mid laners and junglers, they have messed it up a few times.
So. All right, spoken like a true AD carry.
Well, I'm curious to see what the support matchups start to look like here, because bot lane is going to be a pivotal role. So the nerf that was to Kalista is like, she lost a little bit of HP, a little bit of damage early, mostly just trying to nerf that early laning.
Yeah, they nerfed the Rend, but they did give a higher AD scalings.
Yeah, but it's like level
Yeah, I think
6,
when she gets to
80
18, then in total she's gotten 13 more damage or something like that.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know.
Wow, that's a huge power spike.
Level 18 Kalista power spike. But so yeah, I think now the Varus matchup should be a lot more favored for him. And then especially if you're maybe looking to leverage that 5th pick counter pick for the support department, I would like to see that.
But I am curious, right? Because in my head right now, this makes it screams like having a winning bot lane seems so good for BDS when they already have the Varus. You're saving maybe support for 5 instead.
Yeah.
But that also means that Irrelevant might have to blind pick engage like a Sign, like an Ornn instead when you already have a Nocturne. And that has been proving difficult.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if I love that one. I like more of a Bruiser on top here, I think, that can... Because two ways you can play Nocturne is either just as like a straight engage and send it type of champ, or you can just use the ultimate to create chaos and fight around it. And I think if some Bruiser that can leverage that chaos, I'd like to see much more for the side of BDS. Let's see what they opt for. They did ban kind of two, like the Renata ban makes me think that maybe they just want to go and engage support on 4. But at the same time, the Renata is also a great blind pick. Oh,
Shen?
It's a Shen top.
What?
So technically speaking, and technically speaking, Flex, right? We actually don't know where it's going.
It's going top. This is not going bot.
But that's a crazy combo with the Nocturne ulting in. You have the Orianna engaged too, and then the Shen ult to keep you safe so you don't get just one shot.
Yeah. If this Shen goes support, GB, you get $100. If
Whoa! Alright, I know what I'm rooting for now.
I mean, GB usually tends to win these bets, but then he never gets what he's promised, so I wouldn't get too excited if I were you.
So far, I think Jack is only lost.
Well, the Shen top, the buff was actually very significant to his early laning phase.
He's had like 3 in a row, right? It's been very adamant on getting him back.
The most recent one just makes his Q deal 1% more max HP damage, which is way stronger. And we got 2 very interesting drafts here. The Gragas top into the Shen, and the Neeko support blind pick here. Ooh, I'm not sure if I love the Alistar. Very weak early lane. would like maybe more something like the Nautilus or something.
Yeah, Nautilus is
Nautilus
banned, so that doesn't
Yeah.
really give them an opportunity to do so.
Leona is still
Alistar.
available. Did see some buffs here as well. But
Yeah, I think I like the Leona more. I mean, Alistar does scale up very nicely, but you have the Gragas to stop his engage, and just the early laning phase against this Neeko.
And I am not getting $100.
You're not getting it.
Uh-oh.
That's the sad story of the day.
Well, that's what I care about right now.
Well, predictions for the draft. I actually really like the BDS draft overall. I think Shen, Nocturne, Orianna, they cooked.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how Fnatic could win, and there's certainly good skirmishing options, but I think getting to that point where Sol just completely outscaled them, and then not being hit by Nocturne with Shen ult, with Orianna ultimate, like the combo pieces for BDS.
And it all rides on.
Yeah.
And it's all good as well with the Alistar because it allows them to stay back and peel off the Vi from the Varus, so you can just have your AD carry in the back doing all the damage they need to do.
Let's go 1-1-3.
I will say that
No bias.
if Fnatic gets first on an objective and they start setting up where, you know, they're not really allowing for the backline to actually come through with a dive on Nocturne, but Varus in a position to do damage, can be difficult for BDS. I'm really hoping they clean up that mid to late game.
Yeah, objective control here and decisiveness for this lineup of BDS is going to be incredibly important.
That seems to be the theme in general for quite a few of the teams that we have playing in general. Fnatic though, I mean, they've already had that first game under lock and key, so not too much pressure here, but they could make this a 2-0. GB, would you like a prediction for the draft?
Yeah, I'll say 2-0. I don't care. Fnatic good.
All right.
Fnatic good.
Fnatic good, draft great. Both of these teams cooked, but let's head over to our casters. Maybe they could also give us a prediction for this draft. Do you think it's gonna be 2-0?
Oh, I refuse to answer that. I am unbiased. I'm just here for the ride.
Whoa.
Yeah, trying to. Hey, where's the $100? Where's the $100? I'll give you a prediction. Give me $100. Okay.
Why are you suddenly going?
Because GB got off on it.
Hey, you got $100, eh?
Oh, New Yorker. Well done. Big shout out again. Oscarinin pulling out Gragas when earlier on, obviously, we had a nice ode to Shushei, and it really feels nice at Fnatic here today. Pull out this pick. We don't see it all that often. Now, Oscar's already played it before. He's got a wealth of top lane champions already in his splitters. We're going to 1v2 level 1. How many people are getting involved? Mikyx just going to send the Tangle Barbs out. That's his start, but he does have to burn the heal. Vedi, I want to start with BDS, though.
Okay.
That's a submarine comp. Like, normally we just get the Nocturne Orianna.
No, it's not a submarine comp.
What do you want to call it?
Sorry, submarine comps were specifically for Twitch and Evelynn with the Shen, because the idea is like a submarine, you sneak underwater and then you appear out of nowhere.
Where is the cow and the
yeah,
two
so
blokes?
I don't think a shadow monster, a clockwork lady, and a ninja actually had a name. I'm sorry.
Well, okay. What do you want to call it then?
I mean, I'd call it a dive comp.
Okay. So deep water dive comp.
Deep water.
Yeah, okay.
Does everything need a nickname?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It really does. Because, let's be real, 113 is going to ult in, Irrelevant's going to follow, Nuke is going to have the ball on, boom. Big shockwave.
So my impression of Shen, typically, is that he should never really have kill threat on you.
But?
Because he has great trades.
Yeah.
But in order for him to kill you, like, it should be super obvious that he can kill you.
Yes.
So if you're dying to a Shen 1v1, you're doing something egregiously wrong.
Well, I'm just worried that Oscarinin in this game, because remember, Twilight Assault, it's where the blade is. If it passes through...
Yeah, you get a bunch of attack speed
and remember now, empowered health ratio is up to 5, so you get an extra percentage. As they were saying, it's been buffed, and you were telling me, as we're in pick and ban, Shen the past 3 patches has been that subtle, like, here's a buff. He's a buff. You know, like, not many people talking about it. And then we're like, hang on a minute, this guy's pretty good.
So it was, I want to say 2022 Worlds, where I was talking with Odo about Shen, and I was like, why isn't Shen competitively viable? Like, I think he's a great champion, especially with how side lanings and lane swaps were so prominent. I was like, surely this champion makes so much sense, because he can also be a very difficult champion to dive. But basically, Odo argued that the problem is his wave clear.
True.
And it's something where, like, if you have to invest early on in something like a Tiamat to be able to wave clear, then you kind of don't necessarily have control over the wave. And if you're getting a Tiamat, then you don't necessarily have the ability to freeze the wave and all that. but naturally, champions will get to a point where if you buff them, then it's kind of hard to ignore.
True.
So it's cool to see Shen back. His global presence is something that I think is always very scary. And I remember back in the day, we used to see things like Nocturne, Twisted Fate, plus Shen.
Oh, yeah.
And then you had these side lane monsters attacking everywhere. Is Fnatic setting up for a dive bot lane?
They're indeed. They've slowly been working towards this, and Razork now has Parus in place. Nice pulverize, though. Parus pops away Mikyx because he wants to rework it into Razork. Ends up being a 1-for-1. Upset now has to run out before Ice turns it into more. Humanoid is going to be a follow-up gank. 113 has an angle here. Standing in place, Humanoid gets chunked. 113 doesn't get the range.
I love the idea from the dive from Fnatic. The way in which Mikyx turns into a minion, has the ability to tank up more tower shots, but then Parus responds by knocking Mikyx out of the play and turning the tower aggro onto, I think it was Razork.
Yeah.
So we'll look back at the play and just keep your eyes on Mikyx in this whole setup. So he's the one that's going to take initial tower aggro, gets the root, switches over to a cannon minion, and then this play from Parus to flash in, punt him out of range, and now Razork can't do anything because he's super deep and he has no way of getting out. So they end up turning it into a 1-for-1, and crucially, it's Ice that picks up the kill, and Razork gets the kill himself. So no major advantage gain for upsets, whereas Ice still got the wave, got a kill, and is now going to have a nice first base.
I mean, the fact that he's up as well, yeah, it's huge after a dive. Also, Nuke, Humanoid, believe he was forced out. Good chunk again as Humanoid just comes back. And this is just like the last game. Nuke had a very explosive laning phase, came out of it with a lead, and although a small one, was still significant enough for us to turn our heads. Once again, another good early game as he's gone back for his tier. He's also teleported back in, and he's just going to try and stay in this 1v1 for as long as possible against the scaling dragon.
Now, Shen is a really strong trading champion on the top side of the map.
He is.
His trading ability against Gragas will naturally get weaker as Gragas gets more levels under his belt. Oscar has chosen to go back to base first, and he's now starting to win out on some of these short trades. Admittedly, Irrelevant hasn't actually spent any money on any items just yet. So I expect that top lane to be like many top lane matchups where it's just a bit of trading back and forth with no one really having any significant kill threat on the other. But Aurelion off to a good start in the laning phase, has a decent CS advantage. You can see something similar for Nuke in the mid lane. And on the bot side of the map, it's also pretty even, but thanks to that early kill given to Ice, he does have a slight gold lead. So across the board, pretty even. Setting up for the first dragon of the game. 113 going to be starting this one off. As a reminder, there is no cross map for grubs.
But Irrelevant with his ulti also has teleport, by the way. Oscarinin, you know, he's teleported obviously earlier on to get that HP lead that he had in his lane. He's now walking towards bot. As BDS start this dragon, they'll have this uncontested. It's only Mikyx disguising himself as Razork, while Razork sits top lane. So even though Irrelevant is walking down now to match, there is that TP extra that you have to think about from BDS that as they hit their level 6.
That's very true. And the reason why that's valuable is because, as you're rightly saying, you Shen ult to one side, you can then TP back to the tower on the other. And so they identified that the swap was coming through from Fnatic. Irrelevant changed plans, started walking towards bot side of the map, expecting Ice to go back to base and be able to match up towards the top side against Upset. Now the question is, will Fnatic choose to swap again? Is Fnatic interested in getting out of this laning phase?
Then they lose the grubs, don't they?
Them? Exactly, that's the other thing. But by swapping out of it, they would lose an ability to really contest with their bot lane for those grubs. But level 6 is there for Ice, and that's something Fnatic's bot lane has to be super cautious of.
Same with 113 as well, right? But a turret dive seems a little bit extreme. But you know, Vedi, with only one grubs now, it does feel like that conversation has to be worked into, like, you know, when you see things like Shen on the map, you're like, well, it's going to be a bit more predictable. Our bot lane has to be top. We have to get pressure because only one set of grubs. How much do teams value it? It's my question of the day. Like, where do we sit on grubs when we are in a new patch and there is only one spawning of them?
And it's a scary fight for Fnatic to take because, as you already mentioned, no TP available for Oscar. It is going to be coming up soon, so that advantage window that BDS has is slipping away. It would be cool if they would think about some sort of dive play by leveraging the channel to be going. Oscar has a lot of ways to interrupt it.
He does.
So Irrelevant has to be very cautious about when and where he uses it. Part of the reason why Gragas is a pretty good pick into the Shen, just because it's a big neutralizer.
Upset gets chunked a little bit. Ice is going on hit, but still Q hurts like anything. As 113 starts up Grub, spawns some mites, he thinks about it, but wants to pop the ultimate, and into the shadows he goes, and Stand United interrupted, but it gets the shield. 113 sets up for Ice to get the kill. That's 2 on the Varus, as Mikyx is going to be a re-dive, but Tangle Barbs hits onto 2, good burst, and Parus in trouble. He took a turret shot. The minion wave was cleared. Well done by Mikyx once again as he's brought company. Razork has ultied in and ultied down. Ice will not be able to move. No sleeping safe and sound either. 113 gets away with his life, but that all started with the rebound thanks to Mikyx.
So the first thing I was going to say is that Oscar interrupting Irrelevant's ulti onto the top side of the map, I don't think really did them that many favors. But then when the extended play comes through for Fnatic, it ends up working beautifully. So the Shen ultimate in conjunction with the Nocturne ultimate means that Upset really can't do much in this play. But BDS, they want to go back past the tower, and Mikyx wisely is able to kill the minion, and he keeps Parus within tower aggro, allowing them to get a pick. Razork and Humanoid roam towards the top side of the map. The collapse comes through onto Ice, and they convert it into another kill. Nice response there from Fnatic, but also nice idea from BDS, because that's how you want to be using the Shen ultimate in the early game.
But remember, Stand United, I mean, it's a big cooldown, right? 200 seconds, which if any math wizards are out there, that's over 3 minutes. That's crazy. Like, for an ultimate in League of Legends these days, that's kind of up there with Maiden, with like Kael's Judgment at level 6. It's a very long cooldown. I saw you hover over and see 190.
No, it's got 100 seconds.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
But 190 in total in this game.
Oh, in total? I
with,
can tell you right now. Yeah, 190 seconds in total.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a long ulti. 3 minutes, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's not repeatable. Paranoia, well, the range might be minimal. Its cooldown not as long, so we still have the option of pairing it with Nuke, as AD carries are now sitting mid. Irrelevant Oscarinin back in top, and Humanoid and Neeko just sitting down bottom for now. Nice shadow dash. Oscarinin, he just gets pummeled a little bit. And remember, every time Shen completes an ability, as Body Slam misses, Irrelevant gets a nice little shield thanks to Key Barrier, which is great. It's based on bonus health as well. He's going Tunneler.
Now, Fnatic did get grubs off that topside play as well.
They did, well spotted.
And Dragon going to be spawning in about 50 seconds. 113 looking to secure the crab. I don't think he'll have any issues securing it. Mikyx not going to stop him from trying, though. We saw his Neeko come through in the series versus G2. I want to say it was game 3.
That was game 1, wasn't it?
No, it was game 3.
We looked at it just before.
We won. He won in that game, and they lost game 1.
Okay, well, it wasn't game 1, ladies and gentlemen. Paranoia comes in. Let's spark it up. 113 has no follow-up, though, so Mikyx gets thrown in. Pop Blossom, 2-man, and whatever game it was, Vedi, it was a bloody good one. Mikyx's doing it again, and Fnatic are starting to run away with this a bit.
And this is why I wanted to bring the topic up, because Mikyx was so good at finding these engages with this champion in particular. This time, with the help of Upset, he gets thrown in with the Kalista ultimate, connects a 2-man ult, and they punish the aggression from BDS. Now they can start off the Dragon, and this is a very different early game to what we saw in game 1, where Fnatic are the one finding these advantages.
And look, Oscarinin having a natural lead in the Shen lane. Jungle now very much ahead as Razork equalizes Dragons. Bot lane also equal on a 2-kill Varus. Kind of just shows you where Upset's at now. It's Fnatic, 2k gold lead in total, but I'm starting to look towards, you know, this Herald spawn at 15 minutes, towards his first items coming on the board. Betty, I feel like Fnatic are roaring in this game when they have an Aurelion Sol in the position it's in.
Yeah, Fnatic did talk a lot about how this week was obviously a difficult one for them, getting back from Spain.
Yeah. And, what did Upset say in the interview after game 1 with Shocks? We've landed as 2 minutes ago or something. Obviously, that's sarcastic, but.
And I think like seeing some of the missteps that we see in their play is understandable. But again, some of the resilience, and I mean, I'm going to keep harping on about it, but this Duffman effect, whatever roster he joins, he finds ways to improve their decision-making in the mid-game. And I think that's something that Fnatic fans have been very eager for a long time, which is this idea of they're not just fumbling this mid-game decision where they over-aggress, they let their excitement or the momentum overtake their decision-making, and instead they're making more calculated plays. And again, it's not flawless, still things to work on, but a nice development that we're seeing from Fnatic. And the same can be said for BDS, who at the beginning of the split did not look very good at all. But now they are very competitive with Fnatic. Their team fighting is still very strong, but the unfortunate reality for BDS is that they find themselves very close to being cut out from playoffs, which only welcomes the top 6 of our league.
The reason being because BDS, unlike other teams in the league, have actually played a lot of games. So just a quick reminder of what's left this series against Fnatic, then Team Heretics. Third place ain't safe because BDS are normally our third place team. They ain't safe. You know, we normally rely on them to be outside the cusp of Fnatic G2. Obviously, this split and this year has already shown very different feelings with KC moving to first stand.
And of course, being at a scoreline, assuming if they lost this series and then won the next one 4-5, a lot of like potential tiebreakers, a lot of teams are sitting along that scoreline, but also Heretics, it doesn't seem like an easy opponent right now with the way that they've been ramping up. So BDS would very much like to turn this series around. And with the composition that they have ways to do it. And so it's just a question of how well can they execute upon this composition. Great side lane threats with the Shen, with the Nocturne. The Wombo combo potential is there. Let's see if they can pull it off. Only a 2k gold deficit for the time being. They slowed the game down. Rift Herald spawning in 40 seconds.
You know, the problem I'm worried about with BDS, Vedi, is like with this comp, when those ultis are down, if it doesn't land, if they don't find a pick, then it feels like they're in trouble. A lot of these comps when, you know, like we got the release of Neeko back in the day. I can't even remember what year that was. When we had a lot of these Wombo comps, like the Aphelios meta. Once it was all down, once those big blown ultis were down, and these comps that could stall out and really team fight and play with it. Always looked a bit better.
Probably part of the reason why Ice is going for an on-hit build rather than the lethality.
That's a very good point.
But yeah, you're right. Often these compositions, shout out to K-Droll, is that he used to call them shotgun comps because that's what they are, like a very powerful upfront burst of damage.
True.
But the reloads takes a second. And so unless you find value out of that initial shot, it can definitely be a difficult composition to keep in an extended fight. But we'll see how they play things out. They're the first on the Heralds. Right now, Fnatic in a bit of an awkward position. They're still only making their way into their jungle. They've got a face check into Parus. It's making it very difficult for them.
Relevant's also in Fog of War. Maybe that's why Fnatic are proceeding backwards as Mikyx disguises himself, but Herald's just going to be gone. The fight afterwards is Razork onto Parus, pops the Unbreakable Will. There's the Paranoia. Here comes the dive, and Stand United Shockwave. It all lands. An upset is first to go. The ulti in response, but Mikyx does it again. He said his Neeko's great, and he's showing it once more. The skies are descending for Fnatic as Humanoid gets a good ulti, but look at Ice. Better you told me to watch the on-hit. He follows up afterwards. Mikyx can't save the play. And 1-1-3 with a triple kill. Finally, BDS surge to life.
I mean, the shotgun was lethal from BDS. They take out Upset immediately. And even though Mikyx found a nice return engage, it was a heavy commitment from Fnatic to trying to kill Nuke. And good job they were able to do it, but it came at a massive cost. Look at the engage come through from 1-1-3. He's the man you need to track. The Shockwave follow-up with the Shen as well. Connects onto Upset. The flash doesn't matter. He gets shut down immediately. They try to lock down Ice with the ulti from Razork. He flashes away to safety. But now, Fnatic is committing way too deep. Look at how far they're flashing in to get the kill onto Nuke. They finally get it. But Ice is free hitting on the back line as 1-1-3 working with Irrelevant to clean them up. And Ace, a 5-for-1 team fight win for BDS.
Always a commitment from 1-1-3 in that fight. Body blocking for Ice. Really nice detective work here. 1-1-3 sourcing the crime and seeing that in the end it was Razork. I guess if Humanoid hit that ulti and he's maybe 3-4 items deep, then we start worrying. Then we start looking at a one fight for Fnatic. But too much of a commit, as you said, Betty. Too deep, too early. BDS, a surge for them in this game. 1k gold lead, Dragon now in their favor too. Nuke's gonna get bottom turret with it. I'm just watching to see if Fnatic can do anything topside because this is just a straight out another win for BDS here in the early game.
That fight was just a great demonstration of how the comp works. And now the pressure is on Fnatic because they need to find a solution. How do we keep Upset alive? Because Flash isn't necessarily enough. The combination still came through. He tried to flash away from the Shockwave, and it's still connected onto him. And the terrifying thing is the fact that a Shen is going to be following through. And do you remember that 1-1-3 didn't ult immediately. The Shen ultimate came through, but he actually waited because he wants ideally the timing to sync up so that when he actually connects, the Shen is there immediately.
And the Shockwave layers it for it as well, so Shen gets a free
So
egg.
exactly. So the Shockwave sets up, and then the Shen arrives, and then the follow-up CC. And admittedly, you could argue that they overcommitted because Ice also threw his ultimate in there as well to make sure they got that kill onto Upset, which is where it could be a little bit of an overcommitment, but they ended up making it work out nicely. And we'll see if they can pull it off again.
Oscar just going to get chased out. A couple more of those. There's a taunt, a very fundamental mechanic under a turret. But what's up next, Vedi? I see Dragons far away. I see Atakan topside in a minute 30.
These outer towers going to be the next main objective. BDS setting their sights on this tier 1 in the top lane.
Sees him. Nice. Extra magic damage. And Oscar, who is going AP Bruiser with quite a bit of health in the build. It's going to be nice for Irrelevant with bonus magic damage, just doing more stuff like that. Minute till Atakan spawns. Ice is trying to get this push in mid, get priority, and maybe move up to top. BDS moving as a 4-man unit. Nuke standing by. But you can see, look, Upset's like, no way, he's not even near the turret. Look how far back he is on the minimap. That guy was standing here. No way. He does want to get deja vu.
I mean, Upset, he has to play very careful now.
TP?
Oh, that bit of a miscommunication there. Razork was threatening the collapse, and he decides not to go for it, so Oscar just TP's in. They don't get anything off the back of that play.
Well, he's got to play bot now because Dragon's up in 2 minutes 50, right? Like, or Atakan if they just...
It's unlikely they'll just, like, rush an Atakan.
Right? They have on-hit Varus. Orianna damage early is not that bad. Well, I guess we find out the answer, but Irrelevant's going to go bot regardless. Humanoid goes down there with TP. Oscarinin just groups in case they do think about Atakan, Vedi.
I think it's such a dangerous objective to start is the only problem, just because of its, like, raid-wide shred. Yes. The fact that it doesn't die particularly quickly either. Observer's highlighting for us right now how dark the map is for Fnatic, but I think this makes more sense. BDS just chipping away that top tower. They've got the Herald, should be an easy secure. And now that's all outer towers secured for BDS, and that makes it much easier to find picks with the Nocturne. And this is the thing, Fnatic is now very scared to pass that middle point, because a single overextension, and before you know it, you've got potentially a minimum 2, but potentially 3 threats flying at you in a side lane. And that's part of the reason why Upset has to play so defensively. Humanoid, he's a bit like, okay, I'm assuming they're all on the top side of the map, so I should be fine here, but he's got to get out. He's got to run because the threat is definitely very real.
It's so nice when you play a comp like this with Nocturne and you have deep vision, when you have all those outers remaining and you can push in consistently. People like Upset have to worry, like, hang on a minute, where are they? I've got a ward there. He is not leaving mid-turret.
Oh, he can't afford to.
That's a mother's hug. Like, if we contested last game where Humanoid was hugging his turret, that's definitely a mum hug from Upset.
For sure. He feels very safe underneath that tower, which might be a bit deceptive, but at least for now, he feels safe.
Whoa.
They're gonna duo this?
No. Ice is coming up. Ulti, he's spotted. Nothing can be done. Humanoid had his ulti, didn't want to pop it. Shen ulti's up.
Gonna give this. Okay. Well, I didn't think that a team would just start this one up, but I was wrong. Nicely secured by BDS. Good use of the Shen ultimate to wrap that one up. They got themselves 23 flowers. This does seem 23, 24, 22. That seems to be the area that most teams...
Because I feel like early game, like, you know, like there's 16 on Fnatic right now, right? So maybe in solo queue when people are a bit more lazy to pick up flowers because they don't know how much it's actually worth, which is between 20 to 40 gold, depending on where you're at per flower. As Parus might be caught out. Caught out in his own jungle. Unbreakable Will there. Fnatic might have found a pick, but Parus gets out thanks to the Wolf. And the Will keeps him alive. Meanwhile, top lane, Irrelevant has no turret there, and he might be close to dying, but all it takes is a flash, and Oscarinin will match it hand in hand. Paranoia in response, but the cooldown's needed. You get yourself a shield. Oscarinin, he's already burnt the flash, but eventually dies. That's a pick for BDS while Fnatic get the dragon in response.
Bit too deep there from Oscar. We've been talking a lot about how neither of these top laners can really kill each other. And it's just... but yes, Oscar did very much try. He got the flash out from Irrelevant. He thought that that was a signal that he could afford to collapse, but then the Nocturne ultimate comes through. and is able to trade the kill back. So it's BDS that lead in kills. They have a 1.5k gold lead overall. A lot of that sitting in the jungle on 113 and of course on Ice, who has his second item completed, but doesn't mean that Upset's in a bad position himself. 2 items done as well. Humanoid is slowly ramping up with the Rylai's already completed along with the Blackfire Torch. He's actually quite close to that Leandries as well, foregoing the boots for now.
He's scared. Everyone in a side lane in this game is scared. Yes. Where is Shen? Where is 113? Is Nuke in Fog of Oregon?
And the scariest thing is that Nocturne ultimate early, long cooldown. 11, it gets a lot shorter.
Yeah.
And it gets
experimental hexblade as well,
terrifying. Right now his ulti's on a 69-second cooldown. So, yeah.
Okay. So a minute, every minute.
Give or take, yeah. So we return to this state of neutrality because the item was taken so early. Baron becomes a point of contention now as a possibility. BDS continues to slowly gain control over the map, but there's no added towers left for them to take. So it becomes a little bit harder for them to decide on the next play.
Parus has to be careful again. Razork's going to smite him down. Tangle Barbs, Unbreakable Will is pulled out again. No objective up until 45 seconds, but that's the Baron. So Fnatic want to edge onto this. Parus has now run out of his ulti. He'll be caught out and taken down. Upset with the kill, and Oscarinin, even though he teleported in again, this time it feels like he's going to be able to get a wave off it, and Fnatic have a numbers advantage for 25 seconds.
And so this is the thing, when there aren't really objectives on the map to play for, it becomes very easy for players to just step out of line, because you believe that you're in a position that feels safe. But of course, Fnatic don't actually have to worry about a potential cross-map because there's not really much on the map for BDS to play for unless they're committing to a tier 2. So they can afford to overstack. They can afford to have Mikyx roaming with Razork and their AD carry. And this was an example of Parus just being a little bit overextended. He chose not to flash away knowing that Razork had the ultimate as well. And so Fnatic find themselves a quick pick. Now, the good news for BDS is not much really comes off the back of it because there's no objective on the map to play for. True. So Baron is now alive. And this is a point at which Fnatic have to be a little bit more concerned because given that the map is completely dark for them, they're going to fish for what they can to get some information.
Paranoia, that's the fish onto Mikyx over the wall. He's so low as well. He'll be feared and eventually corrupted by the night. 113 has opened it up and that Baron may shed a blight.
And this is the risk that we were talking about. Going into these areas of darkness, Nocturne is quickly able to collapse onto you, and so BDS find themselves a pick, and they'll start off the Baron.
Ice is going to do this incredibly quick. Look at the on-hit beginners. Fnatic have to play this numbers game with a disadvantage. Mikyx's up in 10, but nowhere nearby. Teleport burned in. BDS in front of the Baron. The engage starts off again. The skies will eventually descend upon them. The weight of the world seems heavy, but Upset is who we now watch. Setting up with a rend in hand. Razork jumps in, but hiding back his eyes. He's still hitting Baron though, and Baron's hitting back. Upset's getting reset off it, and I'm worried. I'm so worried that again, Upset will put everyone in tears.
That's a triple kill for Upset. And remember that in the earlier engage, BDS were targeting Upset. This time round, Upset could play without the fear of that wombo combo coming through. The Baron is going to be turned over to Fnatic.
Ice. Oi, oi, oi. A little bit late. Upset flashes over the whole wave. It's a skill check again between AD carries. And Upset likes those odds.
10-10 in kills. Fnatic get themselves the Baron. And remember that this started off by getting a pick onto the Neeko, so the engage is gone, but Razork just dives in. BDS get a little dispersed because of the ultimate coming through from Humanoid, who's just dishing out damage on the backline. And crucially, Baron is doing a lot of work to BDS as well. So the coordination is just falling apart for BDS, while Upset sees this as hunting season, throwing spear after spear, playing with nothing but confidence. He secures the triple kill. Humanoid picks up one at the end, and they convert it into a Baron.
Humanoid just sits there AFK pressing Q on a Shen. Highlights over to Upset, but Humanoid made sure that this 3 item is big, but the submarine starts it off again. Under the water we go, Parus. 3-man knockup is good, and there's the first kill for Ice. He has open season. Mikyx can't get him, but Oscarinin knocks him into Razork's hand. A pulverize in response. Upset's still alive, and again the battle of 80 carries seems to be won out by none other than the Fnatic 80 carry. Once again, Fnatic makes sure this fight remains theirs.
BDS don't want the game to slow down. They don't want the momentum to go back in the favor of Fnatic. So they pull the trigger again. They lock down Humanoid. They do get the kill. But this time around, again, they don't have any threat onto upset. And when you give this man the freedom to free hit, he tears your team apart.
Got a Chuck show. He's only 2 items with damage, but it seems to be enough. And he seems to be so hard to kill. Open inhibitor through mid. 6k gold lead, and all of a sudden, Fnatic are setting this up to be a 2-0 slam dunk.
Fnatic have so quickly swung this game in their favor. BDS's composition looked terrifying after it was just deleting upset from the fights. But this engage comes through onto Humanoid, and they think they get the wombo combo because it's both of them together. The shockwave connects, upsets still gets knocked up, but that follow through doesn't quite come. So he's able to create enough space. The 3-man knockup comes through from Mikyx. Another knockup is going to come through after that with Razork in the thick of things. He then locks down Ice, working with Oscar to do what they can. And again, it's just upset, dishing out damage on the backline, allowing for Fnatic to clean up the fight in their favor.
Him and Mikyx have been on a tear, and once again, like, Mikyx goes in at 100 HP, he's thrown in, lights are turned off. Looking for the switch as Oscarinin just goes blindly. His team were elsewhere. Oscar's going to buy some time as Fnatic need to help him. Eat some humble pie. Shockwave used, but Oscar's out of the way. Now here's the re-engage. Nuke goes golden. He buys some time. 113 tries to get him out of the way, but there's a semi-ult coming through while Ice needs to poke, but Humanoid's already killed off one, and the chase begins yet again. Mikyx Neeko does it so much better. You watch upside with the Stand United under the turret mean absolutely nothing. Fnatic are playing with fire, and BDS are burning their feet.
Humanoid melts through the lineup of BDS with the skies falling, getting a nice stun onto Nuke. The Dragon's Breath doing monumental damage. It's another ace in favor of Fnatic. And BDS, they find themselves with little to defend their Nexus.
It's Fnatic who are really fighting to show their worth of first place, and this series is giving us a lot of data. The first team to lock in playoffs. All it takes is a Nexus explosion as Parus gets explosive cast back, and his ulti, it's not up and available, so that's an ace. Fnatic will move closer to 10k into the final blow. Paranoia against the Gragas. There will be an E coming up. He gets over the wall. 113 has no one else. There's upset. Flash already burned, but 113 is in the heart of it all. Humanoid gets over. Shockwave can't kill him, and upset is now on the chase. Humanoid is flying. Once again, the skies have just descended into his back pocket. Somehow it fits. But Fnatic just keep getting kill after kill. BDS just want to keep fighting. Credit to them, but Fnatic win every single fight.
Fnatic overstaying. They want the tower as well. They know they have the numbers advantage. TP available on Humanoids.
113's not up for 30 seconds. There's no shockwave. Explosive cast. Nuke gets sent to the side. Upset steps forward, but it's only inhibitor for now. 2 inhibitors down and 1 more to go.
Fnatic playing with nothing but confidence as they look to lock a spot in playoffs. And they will secure 2 out of the 6 as KC will be locked in alongside them. The race for playoffs gets ever closer in our last 2 weeks here of the LEC. And BDS, while they will not be removed from the top 6, their chances have gotten a lot harder.
Yeah.
But of course, the game not over just yet, but with a position like this, they're going to have to find some miracle to turn this game around.
Well, Baron's up in 55, but it really needs to be an Elder game. I mean, 10k. You put it in the too hard basket at this point.
I mean, Upset is literally half an item off of full build.
He is.
He's likely going to get the GA next, so even if they do one-shot him, he's going to be able to come back.
What am I saying though, Vedi? We've had 13.5k gold comebacks. Like, anything's possible in this game, but 113 can't get caught out here. Paranoia to turn the lights off. Would it even help him? He's going to do it anyway. Re-engages to die. 4 versus 5. Humanoid is ready to bring the lights off, but from the universe to say goodnight. Upset is a good shockwave in response. Health bar's blighted, but Ice, even though he gets the kill, BDS, will it be enough? Maybe the answer is yes. Nuke did a great job. He keeps the game going.
It's being a 1-for-1. The base of BDS is in tatters, but with the Baron respawning, Fnatic can turn their attention to it. No smite available for BDS. Pings are coming down though. Nuke has the teleport available, and it looks like BDS want to fight.
But 113's not there. The lights will remain on, and for Irrelevant, he needs some kind of shadow dash from the gods. Nuke Shockwave not available either. The steal, no. Can't beat a smite as Nuke has run in right in front of Razork. Humanoid is unleashing the beast. Unfortunately, makes it well done in the end for the stake, and Parus will just sit there and loathe while the rest of BDS drop down. Fnatic are making this look so skilled, so classy, so nice with another triple over to Humanoid for BDS against the first place team. This truly is good night.
Fnatic set their sights on the Nexus in what has been a hard-fought series against BDS. They're looking to lock their spot in playoffs.
The first team to do it in spring of the LEC 2025. Fnatic are your best. KC will follow. And this is what we've got here in Europe. This is Fnatic in peak.
Fnatic have continued to ramp up. And that game one was an intense back and forth. A masterclass performance between the two AD carries. But this one, it just felt like once they'd figured out how to respond to the composition of BDS, they just did not let them breathe. Valiant effort from BDS trying to fight back with their composition, but it just was not enough as Fnatic was able to pick up the series win.
But you can tell us who your key player of the series is at LEC on X. For now, we sit with Razork, Humanoid, and Upset. Upset had one hell of a series. Hard to go past him, but for Fnatic, a job well done by all.